Smile. Okay, so welcome to our topic. So our topic for tonight is justice, freedom, and community. Okay, so before we do that, we will have a short prayer in the form of a song, and this will be introduced to us by Mariko, one of our panelists.
Hello, good evening. Good evening. Hello, good evening.
I think you're... Please unmute.
Okay, so may I ask everybody to please mute their lines, please, their phones. So again, as I was saying, so we just heard our opening prayer or our opening song. So that is entitled, uh, we ask the Lord to heal our land. So the title is Heal Our Land. So we are aware of what is happening all around us, not only in the Philippine community, but all over the world. So we are asking the Lord to heal our land. Okay, so that is therefore right and fitting for our topic for tonight, since we shall be talking about issues on justice, freedom, and community. But before we go further, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our three panelists for tonight's topic. So, and also the different students with Sir Jong, with Mr. Johnny Gerardo, who is one of our panelists for tonight. And of course, all our visitors coming from the group of Sir Marico from Kenya, and also from Nigeria and all other communities invited by the UCA Empowerment Corner. So instead of me to do the introduction of our panelists for tonight, I think we will be listening to some of your introductions for yourself. So it's not me to introduce you now, but I would like to hear from you to introduce yourself to our group. So I think let's have from Mr. Johnny Gerardo, and then followed by Sir Marico, and lastly from Sir Seria.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Ming. No? Good evening from the Philippines and good afternoon, no, from Kenya and Nigeria. No? I am one of your panelists for tonight. I am Johnny Gerardo. I'm with my scholars, no, from the Philippines. Specifically, they are they are political science, no, scholars. They are enrolled at St. Paul University, Quezon City. Yes, no. And so I think, no, it's very much it's, no, best that we are actually discussing, that we will be discussing, no, the three topics, no, relevant topics, no. These are justice, freedom, and community. And I know that the scholars, no, from the Philippines would actually learn much, no, from this activity. And of course, no, they would be able also to share, no, their insights and thoughts, no, on matters concerning about these three topics. And of course, no, we will also be looking into how we can have exchange of ideas, no, coming from the Asia, no, coming from Philippines as an Asian country, and also the different countries, no, in Africa, no, such as Nigeria, Kenya, Somalia, and the like. So I think, no, thank you very much for that opportunity to introduce our group.
Thank you, Sir Jong. So we have, I think we can listen from Sir Sharia, who is also one of our panelists for tonight.
We start from Kenya. Jambo Kenya. We'll go back to Philippines. Magadang Gabi. We'll go to Nigeria.
Magandang gabi.
Kaale. Hope everyone is doing fine. How are you, everyone?
Fine. Yeah, we are fine. I'm fine.
My name is Gekonga Ian. I'm the CEO and founder of Sharia Mtaani here in Kenya, Africa, Nairobi. Today's topic is very interesting. Today's topic, freedom, justice, and community. In Africa, this is one of the bone of contention, the issue of justice, the issue of freedom. It is envisaged in our constitution in writing, but do we practice it in reality? I think that's one of the main questions that we're going to ask ourselves today in our panel. So I'm so grateful for such an opportunity and for such a forum that my friend, so that we may be able to share what happens in Philippines and what happens in Kenya. Do we share the lift, or do we have a lift to borrow from each other? Yes, thank you so much. Back to our host.
Okay, thank you very much. So you said about one of our greetings in the Philippines, which is Magandang Gabi. So Magandang Gabi from here, yeah, from our end, and it's Magandang Hapon sa inyo dyan. Magandang Hapon
Oh.
is good afternoon, yeah. Magandang Hapon. It's not, yeah, Magandang Hapon.
Okay.
So you are Sir Ian. Okay, Sir Ian
Yes,
is
Sir Ian.
yeah, Ian. Sir Ian is our panelist, a constitutional lawyer. He is the CEO and founder of Sharia Matani from Kenya. Okay, so we will learn more about your organization in a while. So as we go along, we will now listen to Mr. Marico, who is our co-host main host actually. He is the main host of this program, the UCA Empowerment Corner. So I give you the floor, Mr. Marico, to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Madam Ming, and everybody for this opportunity. I'm Mariko Morris. I'm from Kenya. I'm an international relations and diplomacy scholar, having interest on the subject that is of discussion today, justice. And why am I choosing justice? Justice is very important in the society because, as we will be discussing, justice is about giving and also receiving. So I believe that it is a very interesting subject together with freedom. And both of them, justice and freedom, are correlated with community. How are they exercised in the society? So I think today's subject is really crucial, and I'm happy to be part of it. And I welcome you all so that we can experience the broad discussion from our panelists. So as I've said, I'm from Kenya and I co-host with Madam Ming. She's saying that I'm the main host, but today I'm a panelist, so I'm not hosting. So today she's the host. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Mariko, for that. And Mariko, for the information of the group, is actually the Director of Corporate Affairs at Kibera Tours. So aside from, he is the host of the UCA Empowerment Corner, he is also working as a staff in the Universal Care for Africa Foundation, and he's also linked with a tour industry, the tourist industry at Kibera, Kenya, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so before we go further, I'm seeing on my screen the presence of our Chief Executive Officer in the person of sir from this end. Also, I would like to recognize our audience for tonight. So not only the students of Mr. Johnny Gerardo, who is a policy analyst from the Philippines, but also our audience from the different countries of Africa. Okay, so our topic is about justice, freedom, and community. So before I will show you my slides for tonight and will facilitate the topic with you, our dear panelists, I would like to share some, what's that, instructions, no? Instructions for our audience. So in the course of our discussion that you would like to raise some issues or you would like to ask a question, you just type that in our chat box so that I would know, and then I will entertain you. And then at the end of this forum or this session, we will also be giving you the chance to share your insights or to also share your questions if you have any. Okay, so good evening once again. So before I show you the PowerPoint that I prepared, I would like to ask our three panelists, no, their own experience about the three concepts that we have for tonight. First, we have justice, and then followed by freedom. And how are these two values or virtues, no, lived in your immediate community? So before we flash our own theories on freedom and justice, I would like you to go back to your own experience of justice. No? What is your experience of justice? What is your experience of freedom? How do you experience community life? Okay, so since this is a panel discussion, so you don't expect me to be giving you all the information. So I'm here to moderate all these topics with you. So I think let's begin with Mr. Johnny, Sir John. We would like to know your experience of justice. Okay, what is your first-hand experience of justice?
Yes, thank you, Ma'am Ning, no? Of course, the Philippines is a Republican and democratic country. So when we say Republican democratic country, it's more of course, no, direct participation coming from the people. And then of course, no, if this is now our concept, no, justice is not only few people. No, justice is actually for all, no, individual, for all areas or for all walks of life. So justice is a concept or a topic that should not only be based on theories, no, but also be practiced, no, since this is the core idea, no, where everybody should be coming from, no, in order to have a better society, no, a better community to live in, no, not only by the people, no, or the citizens in that country, but also, no, maybe some individuals coming from different countries, no, can also say, for example, no, travel and be able to, you know, experience, no, the community, a happy, no, and wonderful community, no, that is of course not expected in any society.
Okay, thank you for that, Sir Johnny. How about, yeah, how about Mariko? Mariko, what is your first-hand experience of justice?
Sorry for that. Thank you. So I was saying that we really need first to understand what justice means. And from the dictionary, you will find that justice is simply defined as just behavior or treatment. So when we talk of first-hand experience of justice, in its broadest sense is the principle that people receive that which they deserve with a interpretation of what then constitutes deserving being impacted upon by numerous fields. We will find that if we talk of someone receiving a just treatment, then we have to ask ourselves, if we say that they receive that just treatment because of deserving, or of them being deserving that treatment, then we have to ask ourselves, what does really define deserve? And then we have to put into consideration the following concepts, whereby we talk of moral correctness based on ethics, rationality, law, religion, equity, and fairness. So in my case of experiencing justice in Africa, and in particularly Kenya, you find that justice is not always served as one would expect. Why? Because in most cases, you find social status in the society really matter when justice is talked about. Because, for instance, the institutions which are expected to mate justice and to the population, you find that they are corrupted. So justice is hardly experienced. But in the few instances that I may have experienced justice, maybe I cannot remember, but we try to make the society better every now and then so that justice can prevail. And one day in the African continent, we can say that justice is being served.
Okay, so I got, yeah, so thank you very much for the very comprehensive experience of justice from the end of Sir Marico. So I got a few concepts or a few lines from his introduction of justice, which have something to do with just treatment. We give to people what they deserve, okay, based on moral correctness of attitudes. Okay. What about Sir Ian? Are you still there, Sir Ian?
Cyan is experiencing some problem, but he's coming on board in a minute.
Okay. How about from our audience, from our students? Do you like to say anything about your own experience of justice? In your own family or in your own group of friends, in your school or in your immediate community? Do you have any first-hand experience of the value of justice from our participants? Okay, I think you are shy at this time, so I expect you to be sharing as we go along. By the way, when I say justice, with my own experience, you know, I have a lot of experiences about how justice from my end is being lived. So I would give you one, you know. When I was, of course, in high school, I was given the chance to choose my own school, you know. So my mother did not accompany me to enroll, but I was the only one who went to my own school, and then I found myself being enrolled in a Catholic school. So eventually, when I went home, I reported to my mother that I already finished enrolling myself in high school. No, so I was receiving a just treatment. I mean, I was given the opportunity to study in one of the good schools in our community. So I think that is a just treatment. Otherwise, my mother would scold me for enrolling myself to that school. But you know, she was very glad, or she was kind enough to have given me that opportunity, not only in high school, but until I finished my tertiary. Okay, so let's now proceed to our topic for tonight. So I will be sharing to you some of our slides. See my slides? Hello?
Not yet.
Actually, wait. Do you see it now?
Not yet.
Hello.
Oh, not yet. So how will I do this?
Can you hear my speech?
Hello? Yeah, Sir Ian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Ibrahim Mohammed Saad.
Yes, Sir Brian.
I'm from Somalia, Mogadishu, Somalia's capital. I appreciate all of you and my friend John Grad who invited me this program. So I want
Yeah.
to share you one of my experience about justice. In my life, when I was in high school, it was the time we passed the national examination for the living examination with the government through high school. So we faced so many trouble problems about the management of the exam. Then we, as students, will receive an opportunity through high court to get a solution through proper manner. So in our country, as I say, Somalia here, one of the pillars of our nation, actually, it is the justice. And it is one of the main important things that any nation can be proud of. When there is justice, everything should be okay. So that's what I'm going to add that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir, for sharing your experience about justice. Oh, I find difficulty in it. Is it now? Mariko, I find difficulty in sharing my screen here.
Okay, please tap share screen on the bottom of your monitor. Having opened your slides.
Yeah, I have opened.
And then you click share screen and then you'll see your slides appearing on the sharing screen option, and then you just click and it will be live.
Qolka kuleel badana.
I'm still finding out how I will show my screen. Sir Mariko,
Yes.
would you mind to discuss with us? I posted on my wall, no,
Yes.
our topic for tonight about the 3 lines. Like, why is it that in our world today we see a very big gap between something like the 1% people among us?
Yes.
Okay, they are wallowing in riches. Okay, I mean, there are only very few among us who wallow in riches, while the majority of us, something like much of the grassroots people, are suffering from poverty or material deprivation. And the third one goes like, where is the gap, or where did we go wrong? Okay, so that is actually the main point of our discussion for tonight. We would like to know where did we go wrong, because despite the many social welfare programs and services that we have, no, from our own country to country, it seems like there really is a difficulty in bridging the gap between the rich life and the poor's lives. Hence, we have a lot of programs, a lot of foundations coming out, not only today, but they were there since time immemorial. So I would like to learn from you, or learn from each one of us here, where did we go wrong? Because despite the many policies that we have, why is it that we cannot bridge the gap between the 1% few people who wallow in riches and the 99% who mire in material deprivation. So where did we go wrong? So I would like you to facilitate, please, Sir Marico, as I would like to still find a way to show my PowerPoint, but yes. So anyone can, yeah, Sir Marico, can you do that for me, please?
Sure, I can. Thank you. Thank you, madam. So the rich and the poor, that's the subject. So we are trying to see the reason as to why the 1%, which is the rich, which represents the rich, and the 99%, which represents the poor. Why does that number, that percentage remain constant almost eternally? There's this saying that the rich will continue being rich and the poor will continue being poor. I don't know whoever said that. But the fact is that the social inequality is a factor which really contributes to this effect of the poor continuing being poor. The resources available at the national level are not shared equally. And when we talk of resources, we talk of the government budget to the devolved units of the devolved units of the country governance. So you find that there is inequality in division of resources. Like here in Kenya, you find we have counties. I don't know what you have in Philippines and in other countries where our audience comes from. You find that, for instance, in Kenya, we have 47 counties. And recently we had a discussion on the sharing of resources from the national government to the devolved units, which are the counties. So you find that the resources are not shared equally. You find that there are areas which we can say have been set aside, have not been considered majorly, simply because they are seen as remote. They are seen as not to contribute to the national development. So you find that those areas are not developed. They are not allocated resources as others. And also on political realignments, you find that some areas are left aside because they have not voted for this politician or that. So you find that that really contributes to the widening of the gap between the rich and the poor. And the biggest of all, I believe, is corruption, because corruption is everywhere. In every country, we are talking of corruption, corruption, corruption. And when you look at corruption, you find that it is only mostly, I can't say only, but mostly you find that those in power are the ones who are involved in major scandals, I mean. And those scandals, for instance, you find that it is public money which has been pocketed by a few individuals. And those individuals end up becoming billionaires, and yet the intended population, which was supposed to benefit from those billions of money, have not benefited because the projects have not been funded as expected. And so you find that a number of people, a number of politicians, a number of business people are benefiting from public money, taxes which have been given by the poor. You find that they are benefiting just a group of leaders. And corruption. Corruption is really, really a problem. I believe it is not only in Africa, but I can say here in Kenya, it is in very, very, very serious proportions. It is really serious, because you find that we are talking of billions of money being lost, billions every day. You talk of 7 billion, and in Kenya, it has evolved to a point whereby you can't talk of millions as corruption. When you talk of billions, that's the moment you're talking of corruption. Millions are seen as just nothing, but billions are what we are talking about. So when we reach that point in time, you find that that becomes really a problem. So corruption is really another issue which makes the gap between the rich and the poor to continue becoming big, widening. So I think I can leave it at that, and then maybe another speaker can mention other aspects which are making the gap between the rich and the poor to widen. Back to you, our host.
Okay. Okay, I would like to hear from Sir Jong. In as much as Sir Marico has mentioned about uh, funds coming from the taxes that we pay to the government. So can you speak about the allocation of funds or allocation of these services coming from our taxes? Because you know, we believe that taxes is the lifeblood of our government, isn't it? So can you speak about how these taxes should be allocated? Can we have from Sir John? Or anyone from, or from Sir Ian? Is Sir Ian back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I would
Hello?
like you to,
Hello?
connect with the statement of Sir Marico a while ago. So
Yes,
he
yes.
mentioned
Can you hear
about,
me?
yeah, he mentioned about the allocation of taxes, allocation of funds, because we were then talking about the wide gap between the rich and the poor. So we would like to know about how funds are allocated so that through the provisions of the government in the form of concrete programs and services, then we can solve the issue of access to these welfare programs and services. So can we hear from you, Sir Jong, or from Sir Ian?
Okay, I think I'll go first.
Yes.
Okay, yes. I'll delve just a little bit from what Mariko said, but I will join to his point later on.
Okay.
Yes. So one, I'll deal with the issue of why do we have the gap between the rich and the poor in the African context.
Hello, can you hear
One,
me?
Yes, yes, Sir Jong.
one,
Yes.
I'll be talking about lack of education. This is one of the simplest things that causes poverty in our society currently. You know, lack of education. If you lack education, you cannot get any employment or in any sector in the society. You know, during our independence or after we were given our independence in Africa or in the Kenyan context, we have a paper, we have sessional paper number 10 of 1965 that talks about the issue of ignorance. You know, ignorance is the enemy of progress, you know. So without education, no jobs for you, okay? This might be seem a little bit a no-brainer without a job or any way to make money. If you have no education, no employment for you. Another issue in the African context, we can talk about the issue of having told relatives in the government, you know, or connections, as we may put it, in the normal man's context. In Africa, you must know someone who knows someone for you to be able to seize an opportunity. This is something that I've come across in my real life. You go for an interview, but simply because you do not know anyone in the panel, you just miss the job, not because you lack the qualification, simply because you lack someone or you do not know anyone in the panel. In Africa, from what I know, or let's say everywhere in the world, you just have to know someone for you to seize an opportunity. For you to be able to get that, for you to be able to get out of poverty, it's very hard. It's very hard. You just have to know someone. interviews in our country is just a formality. These things are predetermined, from what I know. And to join to Mariko's point, you know, before we've been having a contention during the budget allocation in our country. People have been arguing, should we give these people money according to the size of their counties or the number of people in their or the population in their counties? From what I know, some counties deserve more money for them to be able to run their activities, you know, due to the fact that the number of people in their counties are so many. But with the formula that the government wanted to use, did not make any sense, you know. So the government is the entity that is supposed to build the education system, to empower the people, to remove ignorance from the society. And if the counties have limited resources, meaning that the common man down there who is the interior cannot be able to access education, meaning that that person in the deep down in the interior will not be able to access education. And education is the key to elevate yourself from poverty. Back to our host.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. So you made mention about the issue of lack of education and the issue of nepotism. So
yes.
So this is one of the issues or one of the reasons why there is a gap now between the rich and the poor, no? So therefore, we have to promote more provisions for those less fortunate, so that you know, they will have access to education, no? So not only the basic education that we want to earn, which most of us are given, but we also would like to go higher, not only basic but even tertiary, because if we start from basic, like elementary or high school, but we don't go further, so there is less opportunity to change the quality of our lives. And also we would like to zero in with the kind of hiring system that we also have, like it's not on what you know, but it's on whom you know. But in a sense, you know, it also helps
Yes.
that you know people in the service, but it's not really fair, no? It's not really fair that most of our, or we base our hiring system to people because they know someone from the government or they know someone from the organization, and so they are being hired. So we would like to address the issue of nepotism, no? Nepotism, that only the relatives or the relatives or friends, no, are the ones being hired for the position, instead of getting those people who are qualified enough for the jobs that are available in the organization. Okay, so you know, in today, so education really helps, no? In fact, in the Philippines, that is one of the primary tools that will help us uplift the quality of life of our people, that education is the answer to eradicate poverty. And I believe it's not only in our country, but it's an answer, no, to our global issue of ignorance, or the global issue of poverty, that we would like our children or this you know, this youth of ours to avail of education, not only the basic education that we are talking about, but if we can offer them scholarship grants, for example, then, or the family, you know, the parents are the ones obligated to provide, no, for the educational needs of their children. Okay, so seeing on my screen, allow me to just read what's on my screen now. Actually, I have here 3 types of justice, but I'm not going to discuss with you the 3 types of justice, but I would like you to direct your attention to distributive. Okay, you must have heard about distributive justice. Okay, there is legal justice, and there is also distributive. I would like you to focus on distributive justice, which is defined as treating the community's obligations to its citizens' life and dignity. Okay, I repeat, distributive justice is the type of justice that treats the community's obligations to its citizens' life and dignity. So I think, as the word suggests, these programs and services are rightly distributed to the members of our society. So it's the obligation of our government, for example, to treat our people, no, with the provision of the proper needs, no, that they would like to avail or they would like to access. One of which now that we talk about is the availment of education. In case the parents cannot really afford not to provide for the educational needs of their children. So anything more that you would like to say about that? Do you want to say something about distributive justice or any issue on distributive justice? The obligation of the government or our obligation to promote the life of our citizens and the dignity of our citizenry, I should say.
Ma'am Ming, may I just say something? Sorry for
Okay. Yes,
interruption. No,
Sergio.
I have
No.
problem in my internet connection. Just to give my opinion, no, this is actually I had problem in internet connection a while ago. May I just answer your previous question? Like, why is it that the poor people poor people become poorer and the rich, no, people become actually richer, no? And I would also agree with the explanation made, no, both from my co-panelists, no, from Kenya, that we have really a problem of resource allocation, no. While it is true, of course, that we have very limited resources, no, we have also to look into how we'd be able to distribute this to the community so that each community would have just share, no, of the resources. And this is true in the Philippines, no. That's the reason why a group, no, is also pushing to federalism, like, no, not only in the metro, no, area would actually uh, have actually that large chunk, no, of the budget resources, no. We have to look into also the communities that, no, can't be reached of the resources that we have. Say for example, just to give you an example, in the Philippines, like Metro Manila and Luzon, no, areas, no, have actually a large chunk, no, of the resources that we receive. I think it's actually 40 to 60% of the resources that we have, and the 40% will now be allocated to other big islands such as Visayas and Mindanao. And when it reached in Mindanao, no, only few areas in Mindanao have actually uh, the resources. So that's the problem now, no, on how we would be able to actually reach, no, to our communities, no. As of course, no, aside from the geographical problem, the geographical issue, no, uh, allocation is really, of course, it's really a great, no, factor in order for us to really check, no, the equality and equity. No, that's very important. No. Second is, may I also share that, of course, no, taxation is the lifeblood of each country, and therefore, without the taxes that we get, no, from its citizens or whatever sources it may derive, we cannot actually perform, no, and actually actualize or realize the programs and projects of the government. So it's very important that we have actually, first is how we'd be able to actually generate, no, income in certain country, and second is how would be able to strategize, no, and to be able to reach even to the far-flung communities. And that is uh, the issue now of resource allocation. Of course, no, aside from the fact that we have problems in our, say for example, system, like of course we have nepotism, like what we have mentioned earlier, that only those who actually know the person, no, the authorized person, no, would actually get the opportunity. We have also second is the cronyism. Now, when we say cronyism, uh, this is where not actually the relatives, but those, no, people who are really close to the appointing authority. And third, no, or lastly, we have political dynasty. Although political dynasty is provided for in the constitution, no, it needs to have an enabling law, which means that the members of the Congress should actually enact, no, a political dynasty law that would be able to perform or to actually define what political dynasty is all about. Because at some point, no, some congressmen would actually say that, no, we are actually voted by the people and that's democracy. And the people know, no, that even if we are in the same family, you know, they see that we are performing. So that's, no, that's actually a problem now, no, of is it really a good idea that members of the same family, you know, would actually control and perform the tasks, or it should be distributed to other members, no, of the community. So that's, no, in one way or another, no, concern, no, of political dynasty. And may I also share about my concept of distributive justice? No, when we say
Yes, yes.
distributive justice, no, it is of course, no, a way of how we'd be able to improve the lives, no, and the opportunities of the people living in the community. And it's very important that we know how first, no, if the people, no, are given the right opportunities, no, say for example, no, uh the the basic needs, no, basic needs are very important. So that basic needs should not only be given to few people, no, basic needs should actually be given for all, so that if everyone, no, has already that basic needs, no, then they can actually perform, no, or be of great uh, or be of great, no, to other people, like they can actually perform better. So I think if there's an equal opportunity, no, I'm not actually telling that everyone should actually have the same, no, the same resources, but I'm looking into how we can give them, no, the opportunities and let the people do the task, no. It's like we give them the opportunities, we give them the strategy, we give them the process, and let the no, the members of the community, no, do the task, no, because it's very important. We should not only be giving the fish, no, we should be actually giving them the opportunity how to fish. So that's my opinion, Mami, and to my co-panelists. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir John, for enlightening us along the concept of resource allocation, because distributive justice has something to do with, as the word suggests, these programs and services of our government, or whatever programs and services are given to people, this have something to do with how these are allocated, so that even the farthest communities of a country will be given the chance to use, not to use or to access these resources. So you made mention about the issues of our own country, that the large chunk of the budget is given to the metro, or to Manila, or to Luzon. But how about the other parts of the country? So you posted the issue of reaching even to the farthest community of the country. And of course, you made mention about um, not only the issue of nepotism, but you also talk about cronyism and political dynasty. So these are some of the root causes also why there is corruption, or why these programs and services are not really properly allocated to who should use these services that we have in the government. Actually, your idea brings me back to one of the examples that my teacher in theology, when I was in tertiary, I thought all the while that justice is, for example, she cited about the 4 siblings in the family. The family has 4 siblings, and then um, I think there's 1 male and then 3 females, and then all the 3 females went to school. They finished their profession, so they were career people. But among the 4 siblings, only 1 was left behind, meaning he did not finish school. He did not finish tertiary. So he is actually a farmer, no, and eventually got married, and then has had a lot of kids, no. So you can just imagine. So 3 career people, and then they went very, very successful in life. They accumulated a lot of resources because maybe of the opportunities that they gained, no, in the course of their career. But one of the siblings now is a bit finding difficulty in meeting the needs of the family. To think that maybe he was confronted with the issues of farming and so on and so forth. So the definition of my teacher about justice then is giving much, no, giving much to the person who needs it most. Okay, giving much to the person who needs it most. In contrary to my understanding that, for example, the assets of the family should be equally shared to the 4 siblings. Okay, if there was actually 100%, it should be divided into 4, like 25%, 25, 25, 25. But considering the plight of that sibling who is experiencing more difficulty in life, so I was enlightened that justice in this context is giving more, to the person who needs it most, instead of dividing equally the 100% assets to the 4 siblings. So that's my experience, or I mean enlightenment coming from that teacher. In the same way as you mentioned about resource allocation, resource allocation should reach the farthest people, no? Those people who live in the far-flung areas, who usually are the ones forgotten by our government because they are very far from the 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 city, or they are living in remote places. So usually they are the ones not being given these programs or services. So where is justice along that example, or along that situation? So resource allocation is therefore reaching to the poorest of the poor, no? If we say poorest of the poor, no, reaching to the farthest part of the community. So I think that is, for me, distributive, no, one of the scope, no, of distributive justice. Okay, so anyone else aside from Sir John who would like to give an enlightenment along distributive justice? Okay.
I think the
The
scholars have
scholars.
to say something.
Yes. I
Purcell,
feel like
Hannah, Manuel, or actually Aliana, if you can actually share, of course, your experiences.
Hello po.
yes, yes.
Hello, can you hear
Please,
me?
yes, we hear you.
Okay po. I actually agree po with you, Ma'am Danaw.
Yes.
I think that justice and fairness are not the same thing din po, which I think a lot of people disagree with. I think that there is an idea that justice means everything will be fair, and that isn't the case. Necessarily, when I was a kid and would complain about something not being fair to my grandfather, for example, he would often tell me, life is not fair. Fair is a place you ride the ponies. So that is the kind of idea that I have grown up with. But now that I'm a lot more older, it is always different for everyone. There are different forms and different methods for everyone to have their justice, and every person in this world finds justice in some form or the other. Because if there is no justice, then the world would be chaotic, right? To me, justice is something that is fitting, appropriate to the situation. Just like what Mom Dano said, it is more on equity and transparency rather than equality. Transparency because I believe that the truth can lead us to justice po.
Okay. Thank you, Hannah, for that enlightenment. So it's able to overcome the experience that you had in your childhood days, and eventually you were able to clarify what really this justice means to your personal life. Okay, so aside from Miss Hannah, is there anyone else who would like to give an enlightenment along that area, distributive justice? Okay, another slide here. Time check, it's already 9:11, no? So we can proceed until 9:30 if yeah, if you would allow us still. No, we can have it until 9:30. Yes,
Hello po.
Mariko? Yes.
Hello po.
Yes, thank
Yes.
you.
Hello po.
Yes, we hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you po.
Kindly tell us yeah, your name, please.
I'm Manuel po, Manuel Meron
Yes,
Fernandez
Manuel.
from
Yes.
St. Paul QC Polsai po, third year. And
Yes.
I have a question po about yung justice po. Since
Yes.
uh, the world has different views and opinions on how we should proceed with giving people justice. Like I would say that justice is very much a cultural thing as well din po eh. Like say for example, the justice in the Western sense may differ from the Eastern sense of justice in a way na say for example, Western countries would be more accepting of the say for example, same-sex unions, but um, countries which are predominantly Muslim, such as Malaysia, would really not be exactly open to it. So, since there is a cultural there's a cultural element to the concept of justice, how are we to address these differences in which justice can still be given and served, uh, even though there may be some differences depending on the circumstances and the situations and the landscape in which certain happenings occur, which need justice. Tanong lang po.
So thank you, Sir Manuel, for for the question. So anyone from our panelists who would like to give an enlightenment on that? So Sir Manuel was talking about the cultural dimension of justice. So how can we serve? So he made mention about the difference between the Western concept of justice with that of the Eastern concept of justice. So how can we now address the needs of our people when we differ in fact of how we should serve justice? So anyone from our three panelists? The cultural dimension.
This is Ian. I think from where I sit, I'd like to differ with Manuel just a little bit. I don't even have to differ with him so much, but from where I sit, I think justice cuts across all society. If murder in the Western society is illegal, then in the Eastern society it should be illegal. I think justice cuts across the whole society. What is illegal in one society should be illegal in the other society. That is justice. You know, that's my understanding of justice. We can't be having double standards in each society turning to be justice. You know, yeah. From where I sit, that is the definition of justice. What is illegal from this society should be illegal in the other society. What is fair in this society should be fair in the other society. One society can never have a fair thing, and when it goes to the other society, it becomes unfair. That is not justice. You know, that's my understanding of justice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I agree. You know, we cannot really meet the same, or we cannot really be the same. There is a question about the westernization of the East. Do you agree with that? The westernization of the East. Yeah, the westernization, or like the Philippines. No, we are. I mean, the culture of the West is being imposed to us by virtue maybe of the history of colonization and so forth, or because of this issue on globalization, we have to adhere, you know, policies, international policies, international relations, because we have to agree with one another. So there is now the tendency to impose on you or to impose to me what policies you have for me, so that I will avail of your services, something like that. So the westernization, so the danger of westernization, no? If you bring in the culture of the West to, for example, Africa, no, which had happened even before, you know, since time immemorial, you know, bringing it in your culture, that brings danger. And then the traditional policies that you have will have the tendency to become modernized, and then the people also are scared, no, that eventually the government officials will embrace, they will accept, no, the policies of the ones introducing this modernization or changes. You know, we are really scared about all these changes now. I do not know if I make sense of, along that area, the westernization of the East, or yeah, I think, no,
Can I
culture, because yeah, because Manny mentioned about the cultural diversities that we all have. So how can we be common? How can we be the same? We can never be the same. But the danger now is to embrace the culture of another country, which will endanger our own, you know, our own unique culture. Yes, and Mariko, you were saying?
Well, I wanted to contribute something on the question that was asked by Manuel, Mr. Manuel.
Yes.
Yeah, I was talking about the cultural dimension of justice, whereby he said that, as you have just explained, that there is danger posed by the Western culture to the Eastern and vice versa, and many more based on that. So I think we had from a student for Anna. We had something from Hannah, and she said that generally she said that justice is argumentative, that it can be argued based on the current situation of whoever is saying that is not receiving justice. She gave an example of her being young and saying that she's not being treated fairly, and then the grandfather would say life is unfair. The same applies to us all, because you find that when we talk of the Western culture affecting the African culture, for instance, recently we had some demonstrations in Nairobi whereby the LGBTQ community were saying that they are not being treated fairly. That is a Western culture. That is unacceptable in the African culture, but they are demanding to be accommodated in the society. So you can see that they are saying that they are not being treated justly. They need justice. But now in our context, the African culture does not allow us to treat them, to give them justice, because we treat it as immorality. So justice there is compromised, because whoever is demanding for justice to be meted on them, they are the norms, the social norms in the society do not allow us to give them justice. So basically, when we talk of culture, the Western culture affecting the African culture, the Eastern culture affecting the African culture, and vice versa, it is true. But is there a way that we can come to terms with, maybe we harmonize the three, let's say for example, all the cultures that are existing, and we try to come up with a common ground whereby we can say this is just in both in the Eastern culture, the Western culture, and the African culture? Is there a way we can harmonize and be in a common ground? That is the biggest question that we have to ask ourselves today. But for the question of the cultural dimension of justice, I think culture has really affected how justice is meted, because some countries have had to enact some acts so that they accommodate some of these cultural impact being brought about by the different cultural practices of the different worlds that we come from. That's my view. Thank you.
Okay, you made mention about how can we harmonize. Is there a way to harmonize our differences? And I think we throw the question to, that leads us now to the very role of the United Nations, especially the SDGs, especially the concept of the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Like they want to have all countries to participate in the implementation of the SDGs. But again, it depends on how much money or how much resources do we have, so that we will be able to implement, no, and ride on with whatever SDGs are there, no? Especially most of us are member countries of the United Nations. So how can we harmonize, no, ourselves along, let's say, human rights, no, along allocations of resources, and so on and so forth. So we get enlightenment from, you know, the officials who are obligated to facilitate, no, the implementation of the SDGs.
Yes. May I
Yes,
just
Sir
say
John?
something, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. No. Actually, may I just answer, no, or give my opinion, no, based on the question of Manuel? Now, of course, no, while it is true that the concept of justice may be different from other countries, no, justice must always be based on the existing law. It's very important that when we say justice, no, we have an underlying law or principle. And in the absence of law or principle or policy, we should resort to the acceptable social norms. Okay. So say in the Philippines, no, uh, justice is actually served and justice has actually been performed because it is based on law, no. Our judges, our justices in the Philippines, no, um, should always derive, no, their decisions based on laws, on policies, no, on on principles. And in, no, in case there are no underlying laws or policies, no, then they would resort now to how it is best uh, served, no. Say for example, you know, like they can actually go now to how it should uh, uh, be performed or actually be, no, equal, no, or equitable, no, and that's based on the accepted social norms.
Okay, so thank you, Sir Johnny. So you are focusing your concept on social norms, the acceptability of policies. And along that area, we differ again, okay? But you are giving us the ground that you have these government officials or our leaders should base their decisions on existing social norms and existing policies. Okay, so I would like to proceed to this slide. It says, there is no gap between love of neighbor and the desire for justice. To contrast the two is to distort both love and justice. Okay, so I repeat, there is no gap between love of neighbor and desire for justice. To contrast the two is to distort both love and justice. So, to wrap the idea of Mr. Johnny about social norms. So what are some of the existing social norms in a certain community or in a certain country? And then this should go with our desire for justice, because we cannot separate love and justice. So love of neighbor and the desire for justice should always go together. The challenge now is how we bring that, no, alive in our community life. With the values of love of neighbor and the desire for justice. Sometimes we don't see these two values go together, because if we truly love one another, then there should be a minimal um, percentage, no? Minimal percentage, or there should be, there should not be a lot of people suffering from poverty or suffering from violations of human rights. But why is it that these two values, no, they have difficulty in going together? Okay, love of neighbor and the desire for justice. So I think I would like to hear from Sir Ian, because Sir Ian is a CEO of a certain organization. Okay, Sir Ian is the CEO and founder of Sharia Taani from Kenya. So I just would like to know from Sir Ian, why did he found the organization? Can you tell us about the objectives of your organization, Sir Ian? Hello?
Okay, I can get to clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, let me give you an overview of what Sharia Mtaani means in simple language. Sharia Mtaani means we can cohort for any common man to understand. It means only law to the streets or law Sheria mtaani means only law to the low income earners. In other words, you know, in Kenya, for you to get justice, justice is very expensive, you know, very expensive. I'm so sure getting justice also in Philippines is very expensive. Not everyone can afford a lawyer. Not everyone can afford filing cases in the courts. So, as students from the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, we decided, why can't we bridge the gap between the poor and the stretch to justice? Why can't we bring justice closer to the poor? So we decided to come up with the idea, and we dubbed it Sheria Mtaani. So our main objective is to ensure that the common man, the hawker in the streets, the lady, the vegetable vendor in the slums, or the uneducated man in the slums is able to get justice. And it's a common maxim that ignorance is no defense, you know. So many people were not able to understand the law or the laws in our country. So we decided, why can't we, since we are legal people or legal practitioners, why can't we digest, why can't we chew the law for these people so that we may administer the same in a language that they can understand? So our main objective is to ensure that everyone is able to access justice. Everyone is able to access free legal advice, because many people are not able to afford the legal services in our country. The lawyers are very expensive. The legal system is very expensive, you know. That is our main objective, among other main objectives that we have, but that is the main. Making sure that the common man is able to achieve or is able to get justice, is able to get justice, is able to understand the law, you know. That is our main objective.
Okay, so
Back to our host.
thank you, Sir Ian. You know, we don't have. I wish, no, I wish, or we wish we have all this time to talk about our topic. So I'm just so helpless that we wish to have all this time, or even a half day, you know, a half day, or if not the whole day, to speak about our topic on justice, freedom, and community. That's why I am landing our topic now to the provision of some services, like the provision of the organization of Sir Ian about free free services, no, from a lawyer, since not everyone, or not anybody, not everyone can pay a lawyer. So you are giving us the idea that you are giving free services for those people who hardly can pay the notarial services or the lawyer services for any, you know, need for justice. Okay, so we are wrapping our topic now. So we wish we have all this time. I would like you to think about justice in the family. Okay, because when we say justice, we immediately think about the role of the government to people. Although basically, when we say justice, we demand, no, we demand so much from our government that they are the ones playing the major role in allocating the funds in the form of the different concrete programs and services. But since, you know, we are many times disappointed to how we are treated, or we are disappointed to how these resources are allocated to us, or these funds, you know, are allocated to us. So we want to content ourselves basically to the needs of our families or to the role of our parents, the role of the leaders of the family, you know. Justice begins at home. Do you agree with me? Justice begins at home. And of course, because we are paying taxes, that's why we oblige, no? We oblige our government to give us justice or to, because we are paying taxes, therefore it's our right, no, to avail of these programs and services in exchange to our taxes. But because we are not getting most of our, you know, the provision because of the taxes that we are paying, um, we console ourselves, no, to going back to our families. Okay, there is a need for our families to be empowered more, the parents to be empowered more, the parents to provide more for their children. Maybe what can I say more? For the parents to work well, so that they will be able to provide for the basic needs of their children. Because, you know, children will really suffer if parents will not do their part, and then they will blame the government. Okay, they blame the government, they complain about how they are treated by the government, or vice versa. Okay, so our topic actually will lead me to think more of these concepts on justice and freedom, and how these two values will be lived, you know, lovingly in our community life. Okay, so we wish that there will be more parents who are responsible enough to provide for the needs of their children, for their education, for their food every day, for the provision of shelter, for the provision of clean water, and all other basic needs. We just really wish that parents are given the opportunity, or they have the income, no, to provide for that. Otherwise, we turn to our government that it's their obligation to serve the needs of the poorest of the poor. Okay? They have to serve the needs of the poorest of the poor, and not only those who are very near these resources of our governments. Okay? So they have to reach, no, they have to reach those far-flung areas, insofar as Sir Jong has mentioned earlier, the issue of resource allocation. So there really is a need for our government to identify who among these people are in need. At the same time, the government should also serve, no, the needs of the rich also, no? The rich, not only the poor, but also the rich. So how can we do that? Okay? So I hope our topic for tonight clarified some of our questions, okay? But since we are all good citizens in this platform, we continue to do our part, not only to rely on our government. We will do our own thing. We will do helping our own community. We help our family. We help our community. Everyone who is in need in our immediate community, we will help. Maybe that's the least we can do. Do you agree with that, Mr. Mariko?
I do. Yes, I agree. Sure.
Yes, yeah. Okay, any insight from our students before we finally close our topic for tonight? Any insight or any question? You know, we cannot talk more because we have limited time, and I don't like you to not to sleep. Okay, early. Unless otherwise, we will have a part 2 on this. Huh? We will have a part 2 on this. So
I think everyone is preparing for the typhoon, Ma'am Ming, no?
Yes. Sir Jong, okay, you made mention about the typhoon. I was a bit worried a while ago because I was told that a strong typhoon is coming to the Philippine area by tomorrow, I think. So it's not affecting us
Yes,
now
yes.
in our signal. Okay, Sir Jong, what can you say about the typhoon?
I think it's again, no, a super typhoon, no, and I think it the typhoon will actually start tomorrow or on Monday, and the main, no, area which will be affected is the Bicol region. No, but I'm not quite so sure, because the direction of the typhoon, no, is going either downward or upward. Since I've checked my my weather forecast while ago, no, weather forecast application while ago. So I think, no, it's really super typhoon, and we have to, at least prepare for it. And we hope and pray that the typhoon, no, will be actually, if not coming, no, at least, no, it will not affect really the entire, uh, the entire territory. No?
Okay, and I think our disaster risk management team in the Philippines is very empowered to, cater to the needs of those areas that are prone to the devastating danger of typhoons. For the information of everyone, especially coming from the side of the Africa, we are visited more or less by 23 typhoons in a year. So we are still in October, or tomorrow it's already November. So how many typhoons left are there for us to wait? So we still have heaps of them. So this is one of our problems in our country because of the location. No, we are surrounded by a lot of islands. So yeah, that is one of our concerns, no, every year, that we are visited by many typhoons. Okay, so hopefully this will not devastate us majorly in the country. Okay, so thank you very much for your attendance for tonight, and thank you for listening to our discussion. So Sir Marico and our other two panelists, Sir Jong and Sir Ian, on behalf of the UCA Empowerment Corner, I would like to thank you for allotted us time for tonight's discussion, and we hope to invite you again some other time. Thank you for your invaluable expertise along the concept of justice, freedom, and community life. Also, with the attendance of our students from the side of Sir Jong, thank you very much for having participated in this webinar on our topic, justice, freedom, and community life. I just wish you well, that we do our part. We don't only rely on the government to give us aid, but we do our part in the name of Christian spirit, or in the name of Christian love. We continue to give the list from our pocket, or we expand charity, charity from our hearts, that even if we don't have much to share, we still are able to share, or will still be willing to share even the list of our resources. And that is the challenge of Christian charity or Christian love. Okay? So thank you very much for your attendance, and we bid you goodbye
I
for,
think,
for tonight. Yes, Sir
yeah,
John?
I think if we can have group picture, Ma'am Ming, if you will allow
Okay.
us.
Yes, Sir Marico, please facilitate our group picture.
Everyone activate the cameras. Anyone who can, please.
Okay. Yeah, please activate your camera so everybody will be shown.
And let's smile, at least.
Yeah,
The smile.
sorry. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Smile. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good
Thank you
night
Thank you
very
to
so
much.
much.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Good
Okay,
night.
bye-bye. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Magandang gabi
Bye.
from Philippines.
Yes, maganda na gabi. Yes.
Oh, I forget.
Yes, magandang gabi. Yeah, magandang gabi or
Yes, yes.
salamat. Salamat is thank you.
Before I forget.
Okay,
Salamat.
thank you.
Salamat.
Salam. We learn on the
Salamat.
way.
Yes.
Salam hat. Okay, we
Salamat,
learn on
yeah.
the way. We learn on the way.
Yes. And continue to follow us in our platform, UKA Empowerment Corner. So this is every Saturday. The time is varied, no? Depending on the availability of our panelists or our resource speakers, we do adjust with their availability. So on November 7, which is next Saturday, there's going to be another topic, and our resource speaker will be coming from Australia. He is a Filipino social worker, but he is currently living in Australia. And our topic for tonight is not really far from his topic. So I would encourage you to please come and join us again this coming Saturday on November 7. And we would like to see you participating in our platform. So thank you very much and have a good night.
And we will be sending in certificates to the panelists within the week, certificate of participation. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mariko, for that. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Magandang gabi.